fortunate enough to be on location today in Trenton with a demolition project that they have going on. They're tearing down 20 homes here to make room for new housing. Really credit to the mayor of Trenton for putting this project together with different community leaders. Really fantastic. Going through a whole revitalization project in Trenton. We're happy to be part of it.
Healthier neighborhood in every neighborhood, and I know the mayor and administration want that for all 4 wards in Trenton. We need to do this together. I can't be more happy to see this day, the sun shining. Reverend Harris was here to pray over this event. The street teams, thank you so much for being here, because you help us give people a chance every single day, whether it's kids simply getting to and from school safely, or grandparents feeling calmer in their neighborhood, that they can walk to a corner store. We all do this together. So Trenton, let's celebrate. This is the start of a wonderful thing. And thank you again very much.
And I want to give a shout out to Mike Valiant, our project manager here, who's getting it over the hurdle. We have a red on the block, and this is very, very important to all of us. For me personally, this is the street I grew up on. The first half of my life here. At one time, multiple families lived here. Most of them worked either for the state or for the steel mill across the bridge. And to see a chance for revitalization is important, because when it comes down to it, it's about safety, it's about family, it's about having legacy for your children, and home ownership creates a legacy. And so this is important. So thank you, City Council, thank you, the mayor, for having that vision and also having the political will to move things forward. Because sometimes having a vision isn't the only thing. Having collective action, collaborating with the community is important, and that's the reason why we're here today. So thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Carroll, come on, take it away. Okay.
I mean, how amazing is this? We've had the opportunity to understand some of the obstacles that we've seen in this area and going through the process of really trying to rebuild the area and make it better for everyone. You know, how do we teach the kids and give the kids some sort of a trade so they can learn how to be a carpenter, an electrician, buy houses in the area, have pride of ownership, and really bring Trenton back from where it's been over the course of the past 20 years. So we've had an amazing opportunity. We're thankful to the mayor, the council people, and everyone that allowed us to be here today. This is great. I mean, if you're a first generation home buyer right now, it's a first time home buyer, you can get up to $22,000 interest free from the state in grant money. And we just need to get the word out there, what we can do to put people in a position, have financial awareness so we can start to build up the area.
People take better care of things when they have ownership in it.
Sure.
And that's what we are trying to promote, is to we have residents who are actually taking ownership, so when it's clean, it matters to them,
right,
that it stays clean, that the upkeep goes on. So doing that, having the ownership and then cleaning up a block, and it's one by one. This Sanford Avenue is just one pillar, and then taking it to the rest of Trenton.
How can people help? Like, how can everybody help? You know, for me, so I'm by trade for 25 years, been in the mortgage industry, and then we started this a couple of years ago to provide more awareness and education to people. How can people help?
Teach a man how to fish.
Yeah.
Instead of giving them the fish.
Right.
So if we can bring them in here and let them learn a skill, carpentry, electronics, whatever, so they can build on the upkeep of their housing, their properties, and then get it within the community. So the community is actually doing it. It's each one teach one, each one reach one, and they can do it together. So that's what we need. So if the community can, learn to be self-sustaining, that makes all the difference. But if they're always dependent upon someone else to give, they're never going to make it.
Are there good programs that are in place to get, because it's about the kids. Let's get the kids into educational trades, things that we can do.
Programs, like even in the high school, there's a lot that are being taught. But the transition has to come from when you're teaching kids about financial, so how to keep your bills, etc., to, okay, what is a mortgage? What is an interest rate? What is a closing? And just bring it back to the basics. And then once you explain it to them, these kids are very savvy. They're very tech smart. They're very financially astute once they get the information. And then you just have to make that transition to, okay, let's take you through a theoretical of buying a house over on Summer Street. It may cost $75,000. You need to put X amount of money down. However, let me tell you about a program that the state of New Jersey has, or HUD has, for you to be able to buy that property and then own it. And then you're making it more tangible for them. Yeah, they may one day have kids or family they want to pass the house down to, and what that means for their family throughout, the next 60 years. Because one of the other things too, it goes with changing your short-term thinking and long-term thinking. If they think if they own a piece of America, that was the American dream, to own your own home. We live in the city, like I said, only 39% of Trenton actually owns their home. Back around 2000, that was 55%. So we almost have to defend our community by owning
Yeah.
our community.
I was talking to a gentleman whose family grew up on this street. He said 20 years ago, it was a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
Different neighborhood, and then they passed the properties down to their kids who didn't have the same pride of ownership in it. I mean, statistically, people are going to have 10 times the amount of wealth if they own a home.
For sure.
So it's a place to start. Let's start with home ownership. Whatever I can do to try to educate as far as home ownership is concerned, wealth building through real estate and the opportunities associated with it, I mean, I would love to be involved.
We are actually putting together to just help grow the knowledge of the youth in our community. A lot of people want to say that there's not a lot going on, there's not a lot in our community, but then we have folks like you who come in and want to lend a hand, want to help out, and we need to make sure that we can market it, and we can get it to the schools, get it to the superintendent, who I meet with on a monthly basis. So that's a great way
That'd be
of
great.
having him spread the word, get it out to the schools, and that's what we want to do. We want folks to come in, see the value of our city, see the value of our people, and like I keep telling folks, Trenton is historically rich.
Right.
We really
Right.
are a wealthy city, but if we don't teach folks, teach our own residents about our history, so they can have pride in it, it's going to keep going down.
Absolutely.
So that's what my colleagues and I, that's one of the things we're trying to make sure that we do. We clean it up, make it look like you or I would want to be in, like I would want for my parents
Yeah.
to live in. And then that we start taking pride in where we live. Clean up, sweep your porch, paint jobs, whatever it takes to help build your community back up. And then that's teaching the generation without even saying anything, because we teach without words.
That's
a
how they
whole lot of
learn the
time.
best,
Yes.
especially little kids.
Yes.
Well, there are 20 houses on Sanford Street. It's probably one of the worst blocks in the city. It's been decades and decades of decay. 4 years ago, we proposed to the last council to take them down, and unfortunately, they voted it down, the project down. So we have a real energetic council this time around,
That's
and
great.
we're really excited. They said from day one, let's get Sanford Street down.
So we're taking down 20 houses, Mr.
20
Mayor?
houses, yeah. Right,
They're
and
going to
I'll
put
show
new
you the
housing in
conditions.
here? Come on,
Yeah.
let's take a look at what we have going on.
And I mean, if you could just look at the conditions.
Now,
of these
these are
houses.
just, is anybody living in these homes right now?
There's sprinkled
Okay.
in here. By and large, most of the houses are coming down.
It just seems like there would have been a time, I don't know how long ago, that this would have been a beautiful neighborhood.
It was. The former mayor lived on the street.
Okay.
The president of the African American Chamber of Commerce lived on the street. I think the whole secret is having pride in home ownership.
Sure.
Because when we took down the Page homes, which were projects, and put a village in there, the same people are living there. It's just a completely different vibe and a feel, and very few police calls go to that neighborhood now.
Seems like kids have all these opportunities for every. Schools are overfunded.
Yeah.
Like there's money flowing all the
Yeah.
time, and yet shouldn't that be the case everywhere?
Yes.
And it's not right to have that level of inequality
Yeah. Yeah.
or opportunity.
Yeah. I'm glad that you could come along and see a demolition project in the works.
So before we sat down today, we had the opportunity to go to a project in an area. Would you speak a little bit to that?
Well, Sanford Street is in our North Ward, which is probably the most economically challenged neighborhood. There are 28 houses that have been abandoned, and they can't even be saved. They're just years and years of neglect and abandonment. Bricks have been falling out. There's asbestos and lead paint. So we're taking down ultimately 28 houses so that we can create new affordable housing options, single homes that we can offer residents.
And I had the opportunity to speak with one gentleman who had grown up on that street, who said 20 years ago, it was a completely different street.
People have fond memories, but they collapsed probably about 20 years ago 20 plus years ago, where it just became neglected properties, and a lot of crime happened there, and so more and more people escape that neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, people are really gonna have to take a look at some of the footage we put out here showing the project that's going on. It's really tremendous. And you could just tell the feeling in the air was one of happiness, and we're moving in the right direction with everything.
I looked at the deplorable conditions in the North Ward and said that we had to make monumental change the landscape, and not gentrification, but to replace abandoned housing stock with affordable housing options so that we can have home ownership and people can take pride in their neighborhood.
Yeah, and it just all feels like it's moving in the right direction. It's really, it was impressive to see today. And thank you again for having us be part of that. So when we look at the course of the next 3 years, I know you were reelected in November of 2022. Next 3 years, Mr. Mayor, what are the things that we really want to focus on in this wonderful town of Trenton?
The foremost that everyone is focused on is keeping the crime down, public safety. We're bringing in 31 new police officers this year. We have to, on the one hand, and increase safety and increase police. But we also have to offer people a lot more hope than recognizing that there's a lack of jobs and a lack of economic opportunity for many people in the neighborhoods. So we're working on that with trying to bring developers in and trying to create apprenticeships, as I know you had a conversation with the council president, but to give a lot of the young kids step up in construction jobs and how to purchase property and how to maintain property. So we're going to do it on all fronts and try to have holistic change in the North Ward.
You know, it's amazing. It all starts with education, whether or not it's home ownership or financial literacy. It's learning a trade so you can better the community. People can better themselves and really fix a systemic problem.
Yes.
And in teaching these young people from day one, hey, there's opportunity out there. This is the path that you go down. This is how you build it. This is how you grow your life.
A lot of kids, they grow up in family settings. We have single parents. Sometimes we have no parents. And it is trying to instill hope and opportunity for a lot of our youngsters so that they can grow up, stick with school, learn a trade if they're not going to go off to college. But we've been making inroads in our school system, focusing on a wholesale child's development.
So when you look at wholesale child's development, what do you mean by that, Mr. Mayor?
Making sure that there are activities that they can engage in after school and have extracurricular activities, but also have learning centers that we just put in the North Ward on the called the Rise Center.
Okay.
Where we're having computers, having mentorship programs for them, and having a safe haven for kids so that they'll have alternatives to joining a gang.
And they can be kids. You know, that's what was so striking when I was speaking to the councilwoman is you don't even get to be a kid. You live in your car, or it's very dysfunctional at home. What kind of opportunity do you have? You don't have the opportunity to play video games and even go to school and clean clothes. So it's wonderful the things you're putting together, and it's not in a country that has so much. It doesn't feel fair.
And the earlier we can make an impact in a child's development is better for the community and especially their growth, and that they'll be able to have opportunities when they come of age.
So I live in that typical suburban area. And the kids have everything that they want, and the kids have all the funding from the school. They have more money than you know what to do with. And then we come to the city of Trenton, and it doesn't feel the same way. Why is that?
A lot of the people who live in the neighborhoods are economically challenged. We have 50% of our population is under the poverty line, which is too much. There's gross unemployment. But yet we still have kids that do rise to the level. We have kids getting into Ivy League schools despite their socioeconomic challenges. Princeton University takes about 60 kids a year
That's
during
great.
their summer for academic learning skills. We have some kids really rising above the challenges, but so many more are lost and fall through the cracks.
Is there enough funding that comes in from the state? I guess that's the part I was trying to understand. Is it because of the tax basis in some towns, or should there be additional funding coming into the state? What leads to that systemic issue?
Yeah, over 50% of our property is tax exempt. It's owned by the government or God. The churches don't pay property taxes either, but we have federal courthouse. We're also the county seat. And so all of those government buildings do not pay property taxes. And they also take up the most choice land along the waterfront. And unfortunately, during the 50s and 60s, they built that Route 29 that cut off Trenton's access to the waterfront, which is, choice,
Got it.
marketable land.
I mean, it makes for an easy ride in.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Yeah. And out, unfortunately.
Okay.
Too many commuters come, about 20,000 state employees come in on a daily basis, trying to get them to slow down and enjoy some of the restaurants or downtown landscape. That's been a challenge as well.
I mean, it's a beautiful area. When you look at the architecture, I mean, this building that we're in, I mean, if someone hasn't had the opportunity to be at City Hall in Trenton, it's spectacular. I mean, is this a historic landmark?
Yeah, this is from 1911, and we also have Frederick Olmsted's last park, who designed Central Park,
Okay.
designed our Cadwallader Park, which is our crown jewel in our 60-plus park system.
How do you think we help people stimulate home ownership in the area?
Financial literacy classes, how to maintain a home, how to make sure you're paying the bills.
Right.
The city has grants that we're helping to restore some of these properties, but we want to make sure that the person that's going to purchase the property it's going to be owner occupied, and that they're going to make a commitment to stay in the city and not just use it as an investment opportunity and then rent it out so that people never get ahead.
We had chatted about that in the past. When you look at some of the grant money that can be available in Trenton, you look at the state grant money. I mean, if your parents do not currently own a home, you can qualify, in your first-time home buyer under a certain income threshold, you can qualify for up to a $22,000 interest-free grant in the state of New Jersey. And getting the word out to people that, hey, this is the type of opportunity you have. You can get into a house in this area literally for no money out of pocket.
But it's a matter of making that connection and also making sure that the prospective homeowners has that financial literacy so that they can maintain that home and be in there for the long run.
And I know you have some great things going on at the town level or at the city level to try and help stimulate that.
In the last couple of years, we opened up about 60 new businesses, so that also is encouraging because a lot of folks get economic value out of a new business, whether it's by offering jobs to local people, but also paying taxes and making sure that there's a viable business instead of an abandoned building.
Sure. What kind of businesses, or what, I should better say, what are we trying to do to attract businesses in Trenton?
Well, we've offered incentive grants as well. We just had a 40-member engineering firm move into the city from Somerset County.
It's great.
Princeton Hydro. And they really want to make the connection to the Trenton school system, offer internships and mentorships, but also really get invested into the city, work with the water department, which has challenges, whether it's lead service line replacement or just making sure that there's water quality so that when we're offering a product, people have confidence that it's going to be healthy and
Safe.
And safe.
So if you were going to come to Trenton and look for business opportunity, what would somebody do? So if someone's out there watching this and they're like, I have a new business and I want to look at the opportunity of putting it into Trenton, what would be their path of assistance on that? Who would they call?
Well, they'd come to the Housing and Economic Development Office. Which
is right in this building.
Which is right in this building, and they would talk to one of the directors or one of the persons from real estate. We have a lot of abandoned properties that that is affordable. There's a lot of businesses that specifically look at Trenton for the affordability. If they go out to the suburbs or to New York and Philadelphia, they seem to be priced out of the market. So if they're looking for a place to set up home, they are attracted to a place like Trenton.
And you're equidistant between Philadelphia and New York City from here.
And we have 4 train lines. We have 5 colleges and universities within 10 miles. We have the Route 1 corridor. So Trenton makes sense on a lot of levels. And it's a matter of making that connection and finding the right fit for that business on the Route 1 corridor, or that they want to be in close proximity to New York or Philadelphia. So we're excited about the future of Trenton.
Great.
It's just making sure that we get the word out that Trenton is a place that is a good place to come and do business.
So what other things do we want to try to accomplish? I know we're looking at bringing business in, and we're trying to help educate the kids to become tradespeople. You had mentioned there's 5 different colleges or universities within 10 miles of here. It's a great place for education. What other projects are we working on over the course of the next few years?
Yeah, it was interesting during the demolition project. We had 5 students from Princeton University that came down. They want to see how they can fit in, whether it's providing mentorship. We have musicians from Princeton University that teach violin to our music students at the high school. So there's a lot of partnerships that we've developed over the years that are working in our favor, and a lot of the young people who are graduating from these colleges in close proximity are looking for that walkable downtown landscape, an urban environment. And we're going to see a lot of market rate housing blossom in the next couple of years, which we're excited about.
Yeah, you could see that. You can see as you move forward on the project that you're working on right now is Sanford Street.
Sanford Street.
On Sanford Street, once the new developments go up, what's going to happen? Property values are going to go up.
Yes,
And it's going to be good for everybody.
absolutely, yeah.
And I guess you just take one neighborhood at a time.
There are a lot of people that are invested in change for the better, and they've been coming to the City Hall to have meetings and to make sure that we are looking at urban blight and trying to make some positive change that will really fit in the Trenton landscape, make it affordable, and at the same time still bring in a middle class that will help make improve things in the city.
Sure. What do you think from the poverty? How do we continue to work people out of poverty in the area?
Through education, but by offering incentives for them to move up. When I first started, there was a prohibition on hiring anyone who was convicted of a crime for 7 years. They couldn't get a job in the city, and that was unrealistic, because then if the city doesn't offer opportunities to many of these former felons, no one will, and they're able to advance. So we wiped out the 7-year prohibition, and in a lot of instances, it's really made the difference between somebody going back to a life of crime or trying to be on the straight
That's
and narrow.
fantastic. And you know what? It would make all the difference, because if you've been unfortunate and you haven't had a lot of opportunity and you choose a path of crime, not that obviously everyone does, but it happens, and you get out, if the city's willing to embrace everybody, let's rehab you, let's get you moving in the right direction, good things happen.
Yeah, that was not missed on me, even visiting with a lot of people that they just gave up on life because they didn't have any opportunity, and that they're still citizens of the city. So a lot of instances we're stepping up and embracing them and helping them to get back on a life track that they have confidence that they'll be able to make a living and not have to go back to the environment that they grew up in.
Yeah, people love to stereotype or stigmatize, versus putting their hand out and trying to help.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we see a lot of that in any city. You see a lot of it in this country. And people do make the difference. People make the difference. And whatever you can do to try to help, we should be willing to do that and try to help people grow and become better. And the benefits that you reap from that personally are fantastic. What more important thing could you do than help another human being? I love what you're doing, and I love that you've dedicated your life to helping people. You've been working since 1996 in public service to try to help people. What motivated you to go into that line of work, Mr. Mayor?
I think I was always interested in politics and government. My parents were active on a local level, and when I went to school, I majored in politics and kind of got into the natural progression. I often joke that I'm untrainable, so there's not much more I could do than this. And I really enjoyed it. I was in the legislature for 22 years, represented the Capital District, which included Trenton and Princeton, which are some of the most well-off people and some of the most neediest people. But being able to bridge that gap and using my connections in Princeton to try people are always willing to come in and lend a hand. We have a restaurant that is in Princeton that has chosen to move to Trenton and make a mark on the economic landscape downtown.
Time is a big commodity. Come spend the time with the kids, try to help them. If you're a tradesperson out there right now, we have some great programs in Trenton where you can help these kids. You can get them into an apprenticeship type of program. Let's teach them a trade. Let's help them build, grow, own property in their area, and develop everything. When you are done with your public service, what do you want to be remembered for?
Changing the landscape of especially making a difference in the most economic challenged neighborhoods. That's really rewarding, and to see somebody to be able to walk in a home for the first time and they're like, wow, I own this now.
Yeah.
That's really rewarding. Or being able to get work with somebody's child and make sure that they get in the right program that will lead them in the right direction. That's also extremely rewarding. And just being able to bring in economic development from people who otherwise would not want to invest in the city, making that connection and making sure that it is the right thing to do for them, that they'll benefit, but also more importantly, the city will be that much better off for it.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you inviting us today to the rebuild and the site that we were at on Sanford Street. This town is a fantastic town. I appreciate you, appreciate all your people, what you're trying to do to help people. And I think if there's people out there that are watching, or the people that are watching out there, jump in, help. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.